Yo, welcome back, everybody, to Fashion is Art. And what we're going to go over today is Adidas' downfall that everybody predicted. But here we are, anyways. We're about to see, though, exactly how bad it is and what the future plan is for Adidas, somewhat. There doesn't seem to be a definite plan, but we're going to at least get into what kind of options they have at this point. Before we get into the video, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel and make sure you ring that bell so you're notified every time we drop a video or a short. Now let's get into it. So Adidas says dropping Kanye West could cost it more than 1 billion in sales. Now this article we're going over from CNN was confirmed by a few other outlets as well, but CNN gave us the most information as well as a few quotes from Adidas CEOs and spokespeople. So we're going to get into that right now. It says Adidas breakup with Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, is a pricey one. The company warned Thursday that it's expected to lose 1.3 billion in revenue this year because it's unable to sell the designer's Yeezy clothing and shoes. Adidas ended its 9-year partnership with the rapper last October because of his anti-Semitic remarks. In a statement, Adidas said its financial guidance for 2023 accounts for the significant adverse impact from not selling the existing stock. If the company can't repurpose any of the remaining Ye clothing, Adidas said that could cost the company $534 million in operating profit this year. The company, shortly after the partnership was dissolved, said that it would try to sell the clothing stripped of the Yeezy name and branding. See my previous video on that. We go over Adidas' plan to basically take over the Yeezy line. They have the rights to those existing silhouettes outside of, I believe, the Yeezy slides. So that's going to be their plan to keep that side of their business functioning. Adidas said selling the sneakers under its own branding would save the company about $300 million in royalty payments and marketing fees. Despite the attempt, Adidas is going to have problems repurposing this clothing, and analysts previously told CNN. There really are no good options for this distressed brand that sat somewhere between prestige and luxury, said Bert Flickinger. Other options include destroying it or donating unsold Yeezy clothing. So Adidas is in a free fall, and they've been on this like kind of downward spiral even before the Kanye West decision was officially made. It was stated over the last 6 months, Adidas stock price has been going down by 45%. Now, even though Kanye West was only removed about 4 months ago, that's still telling you that it's a downward trajectory. Now, they've recovered somewhat from maybe like a lot of those influential people who are tied to the Jewish community once they let go Kanye West for those Semitic remarks. But as you can see, the majority of people who are buying Adidas is not going to be the vast majority of those who are buying Adidas are not, people of Jewish descent, right? Or Jewish background. They're going to be African Americans. And what's really going to incentivize us, or just people who are just fascinated in general in that hype culture, the mistake Adidas made by letting Kanye West go was that they're losing one of their biggest marketing pieces. Looking at it from a big picture standpoint, we know that Kanye West is what brings the noise, brings the vibe to Adidas. They were still on that downstream, but they're definitely losing more without him than they would have with him, which is the primary point here that I think Adidas is kind of missing. Like, what do you do to counteract that, right? There's a saying that a lot of stuff does not get out unless people want it out. With companies, as they go over through situations for each quarter, a lot of times they're not specifically talking about what they could look at in the long term unless it's really bad to potentially generate some buzz or get some sort of reaction from the general public from that. This is good in the sense that it puts Adidas in the news, but pretty bad in the sense of like, okay, this makes us look bad, it makes us look like we don't know what we're doing. There's been a lot of examples of how the media and fans have kind of portrayed this as like, okay, Adidas is kind of lost because no one in the outright, again, is really interested in Yeezy merchandise without Yeezy attached to it. So I'm thinking Adidas is letting this out to kind of build more buzz for maybe something they have new coming out the woodworks. They're kind of desperate right now for the Yeezy shoes to work without Yeezy. They're, they're making sure they have all the patents, all the copyrights set in place. They're making sure that once they launch a lot of these products, not necessarily new, but reimagined, they're still going to have enough cash flow to make some money off of it while also not ruining the brand's integrity. It could look very similar to like when Payless had their versions of the Airwalks. You know, they had those Airwalk like regular Airwalk slip-on shoes that were pretty much just those imitations of those slip-on Vans, right? And as we know what happened to Payless and where the Airwalks are now. They're probably back in elementary school where you left them. Adidas is facing that similar fall because at some point I feel that Kanye West is going to start releasing new products, whether he joins another shoe company or he just goes out independent on his own. He still has the rights and I'm sure a good enough amount of ideas that he could release to the public that will churn a lot of money still for him. That a lot of people are going to be like, we're kind of going to choose Adidas or whatever new Yeezy trademark line that's out here. And 90% of the people are going to go Yeezy because, again, Kanye West was the one who popularized, who made the Adidas interesting. There's not too much point in wearing Adidas unless it's attached to that name brand. We noticed that with a lot of brands and companies. You could have some really nice looking. For example, remember when the Starburys were out? They were much cheaper than your Air Jordans. They were along the same lines of fashion, similar idea, made cheaper. I don't know. There were a lot of great things about and just to give you a little backstory on this, Stephon Marbury was a point guard in the NBA, popular, playing for the New York Knicks, and released his shoe, the Starburys, a little time later. Those shoes were kind of a like an independent version, like a ripoff, like a like a non-name brand. And his whole thing was, why are we spending all this money on a shoe just because of the name attached to it when you could have a nice looking shoe without like the major name, right? Now we see how that turned out. Nothing against those shoes, but like, come on, you kind of already know once a brand is kind of established in its own right, it's very hard to turn that off, and you're gonna have to redirect a lot of fans to it. Imagine, all the competitors to the iPhone, where they've gone. There's no phone that's as recognizable as the iPhone, even to this day. About what, 15, 20 years after it was originally out. That just goes to show you where the value comes from there. Branding is more important than anything. But hey, it's not all that bad. It's not all that bad, really. Like, the girl Jenna Ortega, Wednesday, from Wednesday, it was announced last week that she's going to be heading a sportswear line for Adidas that's, going to be launching here pretty soon. I feel that's going to bring in a lot of new revenue. There's a lot of people who are, lack of a better term, obsessed with this girl. So with that, you definitely are going to see, value provided there. But what else you have cooking? That's obviously them wanting to take some steps in the right direction, get some more celebrity influence behind their brands. They'll probably bring in some more creative directors to facilitate and be at the forefront of a lot of their brand releases. I could easily see a lot of influential people who may have cut ties with Kanye West taking that jump over to Adidas. Bottom line, Yeezy just does not hold any value without Kanye West. One of the problems with getting these new shoes out is it's been going around that the marketing team has been kind of pushing their new ideas upon like these really big hype beasts or a small circle of like what's it called, those concept groups or research groups or participation groups, something like that, right? Control groups. Anyways, they're kind of giving their idea of their own Yeezy redesign, and really, no matter how great they can look, the fact that it's not associated with Yeezy branding truly is going to take a hit, and it's making people not interested because even for resellers, there's no true resell value when it comes to these type of shoes. In fact, I think they just drove up the price of the original Yeezys. And another thing with it too is just that you have to recognize that Adidas, as I read in that article, one of the options is just donating or destroying the merchandise. Honestly, I think donating is the best solution for Adidas at this time, because if they donate the shoes, right, they can put it in the news. They can have a whole big fanfare. They can look like the hero. They can look like they're not upset, and they can completely cut their losses with it while also looking good. If they burn it, they don't really have a upside to it unless they don't want to face any sort of negative backlash. But they're already getting some negative backlash by trying to make these shoes without Kanye West. Or what's most likely is I feel they will go through and release these shoes. I feel they put a lot of time into this idea. They put a lot of energy into the teams. They probably hired some people to, let's make a new design. Let's bring something cool out. So they're going to have something. However, it's whether or not it's going to stick well enough and keep them relevant enough and not like the laughing stock, right? Because you really want to avoid that at all times. And I think that's what Adidas needs to focus on now, is just getting their brand more elite and gaining some more respect, finding out, okay, where can we go minus Kanye West? What have you done before in the past that works? What can we do now? Because at the end of the day, there's plenty of shoe brands that are doing well without Kanye West, right? Obviously, there's a lot more that has succeeded with Kanye West, but that doesn't mean it's an end all be all. They gotta have some people up in Adidas that have some ideas for them. But really, time will tell if they sink or swim. They have a lot of money to lose. Even what I think they would lose 300 million just by not reselling those shoes. So just some big decisions up, and we're gonna see what happens. But that's all I had for the video. Comment some of your thoughts below on what you're thinking Adidas is gonna do. Let me know. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'm out.
These my dollars make it hurt.